Hello, everybody. My name is Smriti, and what here I'm going to talk about is a pragmatic approach to for the design that we use in OutSystems so that we can maximize the platform. So that's me. I work as a UX expert here with OutSystems, and here is my email if you want to reach out to me later. Here is a brief agenda, what we're going to talk about. So it's the technology, what the experts do at OutSystems for the design approach, and also what's our plan for the design. Okay. The second part of my presentation would be around the style guide and brief introduction. What is a style guide? When should you use it? How do we come up with the style guide? And the patterns and iconography. Okay. So let's start with the UX UI at OutSystems. First thing what I want to say is UX is not equivalent to UI, and that's the myth that I want to break. But let's go and talk about the technology first. So right now we are at OutSystems 11. I'm sure you have heard about it a lot in other presentations. How does it help in the UX is it gives us a lot of building blocks that help us to deliver the experience in a faster manner. Earlier it was called Silk UI, but in OutSystems 11, it's called the OutSystems UI. So what does the technology offers us in the UI pattern? It's the progress bar, the calendars, the UI controls like drop downs, radio buttons, and calendars. So these all are the smaller building blocks that the OutSystems platform offers, so that all the screens, all the experience that you're trying to give to your end users can be assembled in a faster way. The other part that technology offers us is the screen template. So how does it look like? What's the structure should look like? So most of the applications that we have uses some of the screen templates that is existing in the OutSystems UI, and it is more suited for enterprise application, but it's not restrictive for enterprise application. This is one of my favorite slides, and it talks about not just the technology, but also about the user. So you can have a very massive technology that has a lot of functionality, a lot of power that it gives you. But unless you have a very skilled person to make use, to maximize the technology, it's not going to be of great use. And this is one of the perfect examples. So if you have a big car, if you have, I don't know, like Ferrari, but the driver doesn't know how to drive in the first place, then the Ferrari is of no use. The same is what we talk about here at OutSystems. The experts are important and the users are important of the platform, because unless you know how to use the platform and give the best experience to your end users, you wouldn't be able to help the customer to have the proper adoption or to have a productive session. And here is another example. I don't know if some of you are familiar with it, but this is a screenshot from the Apple map that was a big disaster when it was launched, because it was trying to compete with the Google Maps, but it was nowhere closer to it. So unless you know for whom you are designing for and you suit your technology for the user, you will not have a proper user adoption. So before I start, I want to introduce you to this gentleman. His name is Don Norman, and he's the guy who came up with the terminology user experience. And let's hear how he describes the.
Hi, I'm Angie Lee, and I'm here at the UX conference in San Francisco. I got to ask Don Norman what he thinks about the term UX.
Once upon a time, a very long time ago, I was at Apple. And we said the experience of using these computers is weak. The experience, when you first discover it, when you see it in the store, when you buy it, when you, can't fit it into the car. It's in this great big box. It doesn't fit into the car. And when you finally do get it home, opening the box up and, oh, it looks scary. I don't know if I dare put this computer together. All of that is user experience. It's everything that touches upon your experience with the product, and it may not even be near the product. It may be when you're telling somebody else about it. That's what we meant when we devised the term user experience and set up what we called the User Experience Architect's Office at Apple to try to enhance things. Now, Apple was already pretty good, so we were starting with a good product, making it even better. Today, that term has been horribly misused. It's used by people to say, I'm a user experience designer. I design websites or I design apps. And they have no clues to what they're doing. And they think the experience is that simple device, the website or the app or who knows what. No, it's everything. It's the way you experience the world. It's the way you experience your life. It's the way you experience the service. Or, yeah, an app or a computer system. But it's a system, it's everything. Got it?
So let's talk about what is our pragmatic approach in OutSystems for the user experience design. And our 80-20 rule is one of our favorite rules. What it means in terms of design experience is that we have a very pragmatic approach to adopt to the agile tech development. What it means is that we focus on top 20% of the user stories that will give the 80% of the user experience to the customer. So in any application, there would be certain parts that is going to use by majority of the users. And if you get that part right, then the overall experience would be good. And that is what we try to do in the pragmatic approach. So there are two major parts of the design approach. One is the user experience, and the other part is the user interface. Please note that I'm using these two terminologies separately. I'm not interchanging it. That means that user experience is the overall experience that you're trying to give to your users, and UI is what will try to achieve that. So what we do is we try to build a solid vision for the application that will speak to the users, will try to solve the real problems that they're going to have, and it will empower the users to make the right choice. And this is a very brief introduction to the plan. So if you see, just by the ratio of how user experiences and then user interface, a maximum part of the design process is spent in discovering the user experience. And there are different steps to it. First is the business analysis. What does it mean? It means to identify the right business goals that you're trying to achieve, and also have solid metrics so that you can have an informed design decision. What does it mean by metrics? Are you going to measure something like have the customer acquisition raised, or new users signed up, or if it is a business to customer application, has the time spent on the application increased? Or the other example could be, is there a less number of calls to your support centers? So all these metrics you need to define in the starting so that you can measure how successful the application is. How do we do this business analysis? First thing, what I mentioned is define clear goals. What we are trying to achieve from this design, what we're trying to achieve in this application. Please make sure that this is not a list of functionality. That's not the goal. The goal is what task the user is, what problem you're trying to solve for the users with this application. Second thing is understanding the business. Of course, unless you completely understand, then it will not be helpful. And to do that, one step that I do, and then all the UXs do, is interview the main stakeholders. The other part that contributes for the business analysis is reviewing the current application. So most of the time, if it's a revamp of an existing application, so we also review the current application, what works and what doesn't work. because we don't want to repeat the same mistake. And at the same time, we want to preserve what is working in the current application. Also, if you have the application analytics, that's wonderful because it has a lot of information that you can just go through. You can run reports and see, and you can learn a lot with the application analytics. Of course, the last part of business analysis is figuring out the persona. Persona means for whom you're designing it for. Let me take an example. If it's an HR application or it's an intranet application, the persona would be the users who want to submit their leaves. So that's the main user. Then you would have somebody like an admin who approves the leave or approves the expenses, things like that. So these are different personas. And if you identify them in the starting, it will be more relatable for whom you're solving the problem for. And the last step of business analysis is to identify what to ask users. It will be more clear when I go next in user research. What user research means is identifying the main pain points. An application as a standalone doesn't mean anything. It has to work well with your end user. And unless you know what are the real pain points of the user, you will not be able to solve them, and you will have a poor poor application adoption. So you identify the pain points. There are different ways of doing it, interviewing the users and conducting user research or conducting focus group, conducting surveys. It all depends on what kind of information you're looking for. If you're looking for a qualitative study, then one-to-one interview works best. But if you're looking for a quantitative study where you want to perform some statistical analysis, then having a survey works best. So how do we do user research in OutSystems? First of all, we go where the users are. We try to observe them in their natural habitat, because that's where the real action happens. And understanding the context, capture what are the important findings, how do they do the operation at the ground, what are the real problems that they're facing. And this is different from opinions, because if you ask somebody, hey, here is the application, can you tell me what's wrong with the application? What you will get is opinion. You will not get the real data unless you observe the user actually performing the task on the application. So once we are done with the user research, the third step for us is wireframing. What a wireframe means. It's a combination, it's a visual representation of all the findings, and it gives a glimpse of how the application would look like. It has the features, the structure, the patterns, the functionality, everything captured in a visual format, so that the project team, the business stakeholders, the users can all see what probably the end solution would look like. So here is some examples and how we do it. We capture the ideas as soon as, once you have some user research, you have some findings. So the solution, the potential solution, we capture it in the form of information architecture. Information architecture, if I can simplify it, it's very similar to what a sitemap would look like. So basically, it's how the information would flow, and it will be structured on the page. Then we start to sketch. There are several tools that we use, but the first and the most useful tool is pen and paper. Or if you are very environment friendly, you can use a board and a marker. So once we have some sketching, we try to link through with the screen flow. Like if you click this button, this will happen. This will be a drop down. You will navigate to next page. So all this proposal, all these concepts are captured in the low fidelity wireframes. Low fidelity means it will not have any colors or icons, but basically capturing the idea for the proposal, the concept. This is a good example of how the screen flow would look like. So like when you click on the screen, it will go here. From clicking on this button will take you to this page. When you click on this particular thing, it will take you to another screen. It's actually a complete screen flow of how the application will look like. It gives a fairly detailed understanding of what we are going to build. So if you don't have this, then if everything is in documents or in somebody's head. This is a good visual representation of all the ideas. So we did the business analysis, we have some user research, we have some wireframes. What's next? The next is the user testing, and it's very important because even a UXer, a UX designer, or a UI designer, they will not know exactly what would work with the users. And that's the reason we conduct user testing. User testing doesn't mean that we are going to test the user. It means that we are going to validate our proposal with the end users to see what is working. Is the flow intuitive enough? Can users complete the simple tasks that the application is expected, to do? All this is to validate the proposed path. And there are different ways of doing it. First we do is prepare the test scenarios. What it means is that you identify one critical task flow that you want to be validated from the end user and ask the user to complete that task. When they're doing it, you observe them and see where they are not, where the application is not intuitive, where they are having difficulties, they are in a fix. So all these the information, all these findings is very crucial so that you can modify the application. The wireframing is a very iterative process. You design something, you test it with the user, you take those findings and come back and on the drawing book and again iterate. So here I have another video, and it talks about usability testing using the paperwork prototype. Some people think that if the application is not built, it's not real enough, then you would not get the actual feedback from the users, which is not entirely correct. Because just with the prototype, you can find a lot of things if you test it with the users. And these are the findings that people who are like continuously associated with the application, with the stakeholders, they will not be able to give you. So here it's very important. And it's a very simple.
So Amelia, thank you very much for being here for this usability test today. We're planning a brand new website for kids and we'd like your help. For your help today, I've got a special present for you after we finish. You see it? You'll get it when we're done. And this shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes. If you need to take a break at any time, just let me know and we can take a break, okay?
Okay.
Before we begin, I'd like to ask you a few questions. First, how often do you go online?
Every day.
Every day, okay. And what websites do you go to?
Nick Jr.
And what's your favorite website?
PBS Kids.
Oh, so there's more than one website you like?
Yeah.
Does Mom and Daddy let you go online anytime you want?
Not anytime.
Oh, okay. So when do you get to go online?
If Mommy says yes, I can. If she says no, I can't.
Oh, okay. This pen will be your mouse. Why don't you take it in? Great. If you want to click on something, just tap on it with your pen. So what do you think about this website?
It is great.
It's great. What's great about it?
I like the worm.
What do you think you can do from here?
I can do games, coloring pages, and videos.
Great. Okay, thank you. I want you to remember that you came here to find pages to color in. Okay? All right?
Okay.
So that's what I'd like you to do, is find some pages to color in. What would you do?
I could click on here.
Great. Okay. Well, when you click on there, it takes you to a page like this. Is this what you expected?
Yes.
What do you think you can do from here?
I can click on the buttons.
And what would that do?
Take you to coloring pages.
Oh, okay. What would you want to click on? Triceratops?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you like all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's go to the kitty one, okay?
Okay.
So that brings you to this page. Is this what you expected?
Yes.
What do you think you can do from here?
You can color it like this.
Oh, okay, great. So let's try that again. You touched over here first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you do that again? Let's do it very slowly. Click on yellow. Now let me give you a yellow marker now. There you go. And you click, where would you do next?
Then I could do.
You click there. Okay. If you click there, this will become yellow, and that would become yellow, like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What else would you do? Great. Now, is this the best cat picture there is?
Wait.
You clicked on blue, then what? All right.
Wait. There's just one more thing.
You color the background like this.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I could press the print button.
And what do you think would happen then?
I could print it.
Oh, great. And so you click on the print, and does it just come out of the paper, or does anything else happen? Come out of the
It
printer?
comes out the printer.
Oh, okay. Does it ask you any more questions before that happens?
This?
Clicking here.
It tells you which printer.
Oh, okay, great. Did you notice these over here?
Yes.
What do you think happens over there?
We get to another page.
Can you show me how you would do that? Okay.
See?
Do you think are these all the kitty pages?
There is an arrow too.
Oh, what would that bring you to?
Another page of coloring pages.
Can we try that out?
Mm-hmm.
Show me how you would do it. That would bring you here. Thank you.
I like that one.
You like that one? So the picture is big enough for you to see what you like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that brings you here.
Now I'm going to click on the things and I'll color.
Okay. Your favorite thing about coloring online is what?
I love looking at the tools.
You look. What kind of tools do you like doing online?
There's like filler bucket and spray can and crayon and like all that stuff.
What's your favorite one?
The sprinkles.
The sprinkles. That sounds like a lot of fun. Wow. What's better? Is Nick Jr. better, or is this better?
This.
Why is this better?
Because it looks funner.
Oh, does Nick Jr. have sprinkles and that stuff on it?
Yes?
It does? But sprinkles make it more fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which one do you think is easier, this website or Nick Jr.?
This website.
This website. And what could we do to make it better?
Add tools.
Add tools, all right. Is there anything else I should know about it?
No.
No? Well, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm going to get you your present, okay?
Materializing is somewhere in between the wireframing and visual design, because that is the tangible thing that you would be given at the end of the service. And in terms of days, so usually the first two steps takes place in day 1 and day 2. Wireframing and user testing happens and in day 3 and day 4. And if you remember that I mentioned that this is an iterative process, so we continue to do it on day 5, 6, and 7. Once we have some sign-off, everybody is comfortable with the direction that we are taking, we proceed for the visual design, and it's done on day 8, 9, and 10. So that's our 2-sprint UX concept phase. If you have a question.
You mentioned before the wireframe, like the high fidelity. So, do you normally do high fidelity scroll speed?
Not usually. So again, we follow 80-20 principles. And for high fidelity, the idea is to give enough Lego pieces, enough UI patterns, so that the team can assemble rest of the screen. Here's the benefit of it. If we spend our time in coming up all the possible screens, then the quality is degraded, and also we are not leveraging the platform's capability. So we identify the key screens, key patterns, we do that, we deliver that as a Lego pieces so the rest of the screens can be assembled. So for the mockups, again, I want to go back to my 80-20 principle. We identify the top 20% of the user stories. If I translate in terms of task flows, so it would be basically like 2 or 3 major task flows. And if we got that right in the vision workshop or in the vision, then that would help us to come up with the rest of the screen. So for the low fidelity, 2 or 3 task flows.
You talked about 4 concepts throughout this one.
Mm-hmm.
User stories that create with user analysis, the personas that like research, and then mockups that high fidelity. How do you connect each one of them? So how do you do the breakdown? How do you come up with that? Do some connection with the other elements that you can describe? Or not?
Are you talking in terms of how the business analysis, when you have the persona, that feeds into what users you are going to talk to? So each step has some outcome that is consumed in the next step. I believe that is your question, right?
Yeah, my question is, we have user stories related with persona, high fidelity related with persona, or not really, it's just kind of sort of.
Yes, so that we have the user stories, and to support those user stories, we have the mockups. Yeah. So there's another part of the presentation is talking about the lifestyle guide. So the output of or the deliverable of the UX UI concept feeds into the lifestyle guide. What is a lifestyle guide? Let's quickly talk about. So it's like a storefront of all the elements, all the UI patterns that is used in the mockups, and it will be in a more interactive way. That's the simplest definition that we can provide. In detail, what are the ingredients? So it has all the visual principles and the design guidelines that we follow based on the brand for the customer. And it has the templates, the patterns, and the samples. So these all act as an accelerator for the faster development. So imagine that once you have the high fidelity mockups, the UI, the front end guy will take that and come and customize the existing OutSystems pattern so that it reflects and has become a complete set of templates, patterns, and samples. But before we start, what the lifestyle guide needs? First thing is the brand guidelines. So it is from the customer. The second thing is signed off sample pages, the design, the high fidelity mock-up, font, icons, and images, whatever is going to be used, and also the context. It's a mobile design, is it a web, is it a responsive? So we need to know the context for the application. For the UX UI process, once the high fidelity mockups are there, we hand over the sketch template. Sketch is a tool that we use to come up with the high fidelity mockups, and sketch template is handed over to the person who's going to do the lifestyle guide, and he will take all the patterns from there and adopt it in the lifestyle guide. But there are sometimes patterns that are used in the design which are not available in the OutSystems UI pattern library, which is rare, but it also helps us as a designer not to be restrictive. For example, if you have a business scenario or if you have a user scenario that cannot be solved with the existing pattern available in the library, so we don't restrict ourselves. We go ahead and we define that pattern, and that becomes a custom pattern. So once the sketch template is available, that's the time to deliver the style guide. So we have the web theme and on phone theme, and all of this is actually available publicly. So you can go and look for the lifestyle guide, what it contains. And it also has all the styles and symbols that we have used. So we pick up all the symbols so that the development becomes very fast at the end. And let me show you. So here are some of the examples of the patterns that I'm talking about. So we provide the font awesome. It's a library of all the icons that are used in OutSystems platform, and it comes with the platform. Unless the customer needs any other, they have their own icon family that they want to use, so that's separate. But by default, you get the font awesome, the icon library. We can also create our own font using this other tool, but that's, I would say, a very less frequent part. Then our team uses another set of tools like Envision Inspect or Zeppelin, Avocode. So there are a lot of tools that they use to inspect the elements and give customize the CSS and the assets. So at the end, how it helps in the development team is by giving them an amazing vision for the solution, giving them some nice looking and well-functioning, usable, high-fidelity mockups that was fed into the lifestyle guide, which the front-end developer would code into all doing the customization of the CSS and JavaScript so that it speaks of the brand, and that would help the development team to increase the speed of their development. And this is the UX UI concept, followed by the lifestyle guide. Thank you.